Hi, welcome to a 50-minute Vinyasa Flow practice. My name is Kailey. I am so glad that you are here practicing with me today. When you are ready, go ahead and find a comfortable seated position. You can sit cross-legged. You might choose to lift your hips up if you have a block, or my preference would be like a firm bolster or cushion. So if you have something handy, you might choose to grab that. I'll give you a moment. There's no rush to settle in here. But when you do figure out what your foundation is going to be today, just give yourself a moment to land. You might even shift from side to side or front to back. It helps you to close the eyes to shift the focus inward. That can be a nice strategy as well. You know, my attention is often very outwardly focused these days. I think that creates like a really great intention for this practice as you start to find something that feels solid and still in terms of your alignment. Let yourself settle back into that. And then I'll offer that the intention today really be about shifting your focus inside and taking care of yourself. Actually, sometimes we are very called for good reason to take care of the people and the things around us. And that's an incredible human quality that should be celebrated, that is celebrated. It's super important to keep our own spark alive, to make sure that we still have some fuel to burn bright. Sometimes it's hard to even know what we need to take care of ourselves. So you can give yourself this time on your mat today to be curious about what needs you might have that have been going unmet. Maybe find ways in this practice or in the moments right after to meet those needs in really simple ways. It could be as simple as a couple deeper breaths. Breath and bring it low into the belly, maybe into the pelvis or the hips. Sip in a little bit more breath at the top of that inhale. Long exhale through the mouth or the nose. One more like that. Breathe in. Take a little bit more air into your lungs. Long breath out. Resuming a natural breath. You can soften the muscles around your eyes and your eyebrows. Relax through the jaw. Hands to your heart, finding Anjali Mudra or prayer hands. You can think of this mudra. Mudra means seal as like a circuit, so like an energetic circuit, pressing the palms against each other, pressing the thumbs into the breastbone, letting that energy flow through the body, like a rechargeable battery or something. We'll take one last deep breath in here. Lift the shoulders toward the ears as you breathe in deeply. Sip in more breath at the top. Let it go. Blink your eyes open when you're ready. Maybe on your hands and your knees. You can move your props out of the way. And then bring your wrists directly beneath your shoulders, knees directly beneath your hips. Or just circle the shoulders over the wrists. Lift the abdominals gently so that you're finding some space in the lower back. And then switch the direction of those circles. So instead of dumping into the lumbar spine or extending, we're just finding length, elongating the space between the vertebrae. Come through center. Let's go ahead and find that extension, actually. Tip the tailbone toward the ceiling. Drop the ribs toward the thumbs, and then tilt your chin up, finding cow. Take a breath in. Press your hands into the mat as you round your back, tailbone tucks. Navel lifts, chin toward the chest. Go back into cow. Nice long inhale. Imagine pulling the heels of your hands toward your knees. And then cat again as you exhale, pressing the hands down and toward the top of your mat. Take a couple more rounds like this, just breathing as you warm up your spine. Notice the range of motion that's feeling good in this moment. Give yourself permission to start slow, small, and just see how the practice unfolds. We're not forcing anything. When you're ready, go ahead and tuck the toes under, walk the hips back toward the heels, just a moment in toes pose. You can keep the hands down if that feels like a nice, in fact, let's do that today. Keep the hands down and press the mat away. So it's more of a gentle variation of toes pose, but you're still getting a good stretch for the plantar fascia. I don't know if you often like flex your foot and just hold it in a flexed position. So even if we're not loading the full body weight onto the heel there, there's still a lot of sensation probably arising. Bring your right hand more through the center, so in front of the knees a few inches, and then inhale your left arm up and open. Find a twist through the rib cage. Keep your hips on your heels. Bring that left hand down, just bring it right on top of the right, and then inhale it open. Again, press the mat away with your right hand. A couple more on this side. Left hand touches right hand, and then inhale, sweep it open as you twist. One more time. Big breath in, and then swap it out. So bring your left hand down, inhale your right arm up. Exhale, right hand down. 3 more on this side. Really press your left hand into your mat. Feel the ribs spiraling open, the pelvis staying still. Last time, breathe in. Walk the hands back toward the top. Toes stay tucked under, but lift the knees and find your downward facing dog. Nice gentle down dog. So big generous bend in the knees to find the stretch in your spine. Maybe you're pedaling out your down dog here. Spread your fingers out pretty wide, not so much that you're pulling on the webbing of the hands, but enough that you've got a good surface area, and then press down to the base of the thumb and the index finger. Lift your heels up, straighten the legs out, and then lower the heels back down, keeping the knees relatively straight if that's tolerable for your hamstrings. Inhale, heels lift. Exhale, heels lower, kicking the heels down. Couple more. Totally fine to bend into the knees. It's going to give you more of a stretch in your spine, perhaps. Last time, heels stay down. Walk your hands to the back of the mat. Separate your feet a little wider. Again, generously bend the knees so your chest comes onto the thighs, or maybe you separate your feet wide enough to bring the chest and the belly between the thighs. Catch the crooks of your opposite elbows. Find a little sway here. A good place for a neck and jaw check. You might nod your head a couple times, yes, or shake it out, no. Release the hands. Walk the hands to the top, finding a high push-up position. So coming right into plank. See if you can bring your hips down a little bit so the hips are in line with the shoulders, not down so much that you're sagging into the lower back. Press the floor away. Reach the crown of the head forward as if you could stretch the neck a little longer, and then keep kicking back to the heels. We're going to hold here for 3 and then lower down to the mat for a count of 6. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Slowly lower, elbows skimming toward the ribs for 6. 5, you can always drop the knees. 4, 3, 2, little hover, and then all the way down to your chest. Walk the hands away from the shoulders, about a few inches, maybe 6 to 12 inches. Tent the fingers, wide arm cobra, press into your toenails, elbows point back, shoulders squeeze. And then look to the right as you exhale. The left side of your head comes down, maybe the left shoulder kisses the mat. Come back to cobra, breathe in at wide arm variation still, and then look to the left, right shoulder drops. Take it back through wide arm cobra, long inhale. And then child's pose is your exhale. Bring the knees a little wider, big toes close together. Keep the elbows lifted in this child's pose. Maybe even the palms lift, so you're stretching into the underarms, activating through the shoulders and the side body. And then start to work into your Ujjayi breath if you haven't already. I'll turn my head so my voice isn't muffled, but you can keep your forehead down. Breathing deeply in through your nose. Constricting the back of the throat for your exhale. Make an ocean-like sound with that out breath. Breathe in through the nose, constricting the back of the throat like you're sniffing a flower, but you want to breathe all the way into the belly. Ujjayi breath out through the nose. Pull forward to your hands and your knees. Find a very gentle cow as you tuck the toes under. And then downward facing dog. Set your eyes to your knees or your navel. Anytime we're in down dog, you can absolutely pedal it out if your head is shaped. When you're ready, step, walk, or hop to the top of the mat. Find your halfway stretch by sliding your palms to your shins. Send your tailbone back, reach the crown of the head forward, breathe in. Catch the calves as you exhale, chin tucks in toward your chest. Slowly roll up to stand, let the arms be heavy, the head will come up last. Reach the arms up once your shoulders are over your hips and breathe in. Bend your elbows, find a W or a trident shape, squeeze the glutes gently and tilt the chin up. Interlace your hands at your lower back, take a breath in, lift through the heart space, and then hinge at the hips, fold forward, maybe keeping that bind as you exhale. Release your bind, palms to the shins as you take a breath in. Plant the hands, step back, high push-up to low push-up, slow and controlled as you breathe out, maybe all the way to the belly, maybe to chaturanga. Up dog and cobra, finish your stretch as you finish your inhale. Downward facing dog. Take a couple deep breaths here, working on maintaining that Ujjayi rhythm. We're going to move through 2 more sun salutations with that variation of the bind at the top. Exhale the breath completely. On empty lungs, step, walk, or hop to the top. Halfway lift, breathe in. Fold forward as you breathe out. You might be noticing that you're building some heat. Go all the way up on the inhale, press the feet down. Bend your elbows, squeeze your glutes as you exhale, lift your heart. Interlace the hands at the lower back, breathe in. Fold forward with the bind, long breath out. Release the bind, half lift on an in-breath. Step, or maybe you hop back to chaturanga, landing with bent elbows. Cobra or up dog, take a breath in, shoulders melting away from the ears here. Downward facing dog, push into your hands. Take 1 long breath. Exhale the air completely. Step, walk, or hop on empty lungs. Last time through like that. Halfway stretch, breathe in. Fold forward and breathe out. Rise with the inhale, reaching through the fingers. Bend your elbows, squeeze your glutes. Interlace, take a breath in. Maybe you tip the chin up. Forward, empty, empty, empty on the way down. Halfway stretch, breathe in. Flow through your vinyasa, however you want to get to downward facing dog is great. Staying connected to your breath if you can. When you land in downward facing dog, keep your right leg back behind you. And then step the right foot forward. We're going to find warrior 1. Press through both of your feet as you lift the torso and the arms up. Really rooting down through your feet, pressing the floor away gently. And then using that to find a little lift in the sides of the waist and the ribs. Take a breath in right here. And then lightning warrior as you exhale, your arms come by your side. Roll the shoulders onto the back of the ribs. In order to do that, you're going to notice, right, that you're going to roll the palms to face downward. And maybe even the palms start to face away from the body with the thumbs up. Lengthen through the sides of the neck here. pressing through the base of your right big toe. We're going to find reverse warrior. Reaching got a little lost there. Reach the left hand back toward the top of the left thigh. Stay anchored in the lunge, or if you want, you can always straighten out that right knee for reverse triangle. So both are really valid shapes. The goal here is to stretch through the right side body. Energetically breathe a little bit deeper into the right lung, but stay long and lifted through the left side as well. Like you're kind of leaning the body over a huge beach ball back here. Finish an in-breath. Cartwheel the hands to the top, and then bend your elbows as you step the right foot to the back for chaturanga or all the way to your belly. Up dog, cobra, breathe in. Down dog as you breathe out. Left side, inhale, kick the leg up. Exhale, step your foot forward, warrior one on the left. Gently using your feet to square up the hips, square up the chest. And then root down through your feet so that you can lift up through the ribs, shoulders, crown of the head, and fingers. You need a little bit more challenge in warrior one. You can take your eyes up, maybe even press the hands together and look toward the thumbs. Breathe in. Lightning warrior, hinge forward through the hips, arms come by the side. Bring your awareness into your shoulders. You might kind of move them around a little bit, and then see if you can find that alignment, bringing the shoulder blades onto the back of the ribs, hugging inward toward the spine. Press the floor away with your front foot as you reverse your warrior. Backstroking that right arm toward the outer side of the right hip and thigh as you slide deep into the lunge or opt to straighten out the left leg. Focus on lengthening out through the left side body, the left side of the waist and ribs. Take one more big breath in. Cartwheel your hands to the top, bend your elbows as you step the left foot back to chaturanga. And then vinyasa through to downward facing dog. We'll put that together, one breath, one motion. Make it feel flowy with your breath. Right leg first, kick it up, take a breath in. Step forward, that's your breath out. Warrior one, just for your inhale. Lightning warrior, just for your exhale. Reverse warrior, cartwheel open and around. And then hands to the top of the mat, vinyasa to down dog. Left side, inhale, lift the foot. Exhale, step it through. Warrior one, finish the breath. Lightning as you empty. Reverse warrior, take a breath in. Cartwheel the hands, exhale to chaturanga, and then flow through to downward facing dog. You could be moving at a pace that's slightly different than I am, that's fine. Right side again, inhale, pick the right leg up. Exhale, step. Warrior one, big breath, maybe you look up. Lightning warrior, hug the abdominals in. Reverse, cartwheel open. Exhale, plant your hands and flow through to downward facing dog. Take the left side on your own. So that's one, lightning, and reverse. Totally okay if you get a little bit lost or if you make something else up. Very creative kind of opportunity always. You can think of that if you do something that wasn't in the sequence in your mind. Just being creative. Take a breath in when you get to down dog. And then on your exhale, step, walk, or hop to the top of the mat. Halfway stretch, breathe in. Forward fold, breathe out. Rise it all the way up on the in-breath. And then catch the left wrist with your right hand. Take a side bend. Lengthen the ribs away from your hips. Root down to the knife edge of your left foot. And then bump the hips to the left a little bit. Try and spin open through that top shoulder and underarm. Stay here, breathe in. Hands to your heart as you breathe out. Soften the shoulders onto the back. Reach the arms up, inhale. Catch your right wrist, side bend to the left. Really rooting down as you could go reach to the outer edge of the right foot. Creating some stability from the legs up. Stay for the inhale. Hands to your heart, stand tall on the exhale. Bend your knees, bring your fingertips down to the sides of your feet. And this might be way deeper than your body's comfortable with, and that is fine. You might bring the hands to the sides of the knees in that case. We're gonna come into chair. Reach the arms forward. Not the longest hold today, but see if you can get a lot of muscle activation while you're here. Imagine hugging the legs toward one another, but keep the knees pointing straight toward the toes so the knees aren't knocking in. And then press down through all four corners of your feet as if you're trying to stretch your yoga mat wider underneath your feet, as if you're trying to create some distance between the inner edges of the feet. For 3. For 2, take a big breath in right here. Stand up on the exhale, hands to your heart. We're going to root down to the right foot, lift the left knee, lift the arms. So you're in a balance, set the eyes to one spot. Maybe take the eyes up here. And then airplane pose. Fly your left leg back, hinge forward through the hips. Little option in airplane to bring a little bit more stability through the pelvis. Take your left hand, bring it to the top of the right thigh. So the left thumb and that thumb side of the left hand is pushing in that right hip crease. Feel a little buttress for the right side of the body here. Soft bend into the right knees. You're not locking the joint space. See if having that left hand there helps you create a little bit more of a level pelvis. Stay there or reach the right arm forward. Here at Virabhadrasana 3, variation for 5, 4. Deep relaxed breaths with that constriction in the throat. 3, 2. We're going to step the left foot to the back of the mat, about 3 to 4 feet back, and then reach both of your arms up, straighten both legs out. Circle your arms around to your sides, and then catch the opposite elbow back behind you. Lift the chest, lift the chin, take a breath in, and then hinge to your hips. So send that right sit bone back, like you're trying to bring your right glute to a wall behind you. Long spine, so halfway stretch in the torso here. Pressing into both of your feet. Big hamstring stretch. It's totally fine to have the right knee bent a bit, or even have both knees bent a bit. Take another long inhale. Release the hands around that front foot, or maybe onto the front shin as you fold forward. You could absolutely have blocks or props on the sides of the mat for your hands. Check in, notice if you've got a bunch of tension creeping into the neck or the jaw. The next place we're heading is three-legged dog with the right leg kicking back. When you're ready, push into the hands, so you walk them a little farther forward, bend the right knee, and then kick that right leg back behind you in space. We're going to take it to three-legged dolphin. Lower the elbows down. So you're on your forearms. Press the forearms into the floor. You can breathe right here. Maybe play around with the lifting and lowering the left heel. If you have forearm stand, this is your setup. From dolphin, we're going to find a forearm plank. When you're ready, step the right foot to the back of the mat, left foot to the back of the mat, elbows stay down. Abdominals lift up. Bring your right knee to your right elbow. Left knee to left elbow. One more time, right to the right. And left to the left. Forearm plank, push the palms into the mat, find high push-up. Inhale here. Lower half or all the way down as you exhale. Cobra or up dog, pause in your back bend. We're gonna find child's pose. Drop the knees, big toes close as you press the hips back toward the heels. Full cycle of breath in and out. Let's do one more. Big breath in. Big breath out. Glide to your hands and your knees. Keep the right knee bent, but lift the right leg. Tip the chin up. Imagine that the right toes could tap the crown of the head. If in your mind's eye, you can draw a line from the right toes to the crown of the head. Tuck the left toes under. Take a breath in. We're going to bring the right knee to the right elbow as you lift the left knee up. Shoulders are over the hips. Or shoulders are over the wrists, rather. Kick that leg back. Take a breath in. Step both feet to the top of the mat. Halfway lift. Breathe in. Hold forward and empty. Go all the way up on the inhale. Same thing on the other side, starting with your side bend. Catch your left wrist as you exhale. Breathe into the left side body. Hands to heart, square the chest as you breathe out. Reach the arms up, take a breath in. Exhale, catch the right wrist, go to the left. Stay here for your inhale, lengthening and opening. Hands to the heart, neutral spine as you exhale. Bend to the knees, sweep the fingers down, chair pose, breathe in. Hands to heart, breathe out. Root down into your left foot this time. Right knee comes up, find your balance here. Stamp the left heel down, and firming up through the left glute. Maybe you take your eyes up. Nice long in-breath. Or think airplane, hinge forward through the hips. Option to find that buttressing for the pelvis by bringing the heel of your right hand into the top of the left hip crease. Press that hip crease back. So it's like you're folding over the heel of the right hand here. Stay there or reach the left arm forward. So you're in a Virabhadrasana 3 variation. Find a little bit more stability this way. If this feels like pointless to your body, by all means, both arms can come forward. The next place we're going is that pyramid stance setup. So we'll step the right foot to the back, but it's not a huge step, right? So 3 to 4 feet back, perhaps. Reach the arms up, press the feet down, and then circle the arms around to the side, catching the opposite elbow behind you. Take a breath in, and then hinge forward, finding length in your spine for a few breaths. Keep pressing the left foot down into the mat. Nice thing about this variation is you can come up at a little angle, especially if full pyramid feels kind of like torture on your hamstrings. Finding a diagonal line from your back leg through your spine can be a nice variation. One more long breath. Hug the shoulders toward the spine here. And then pyramid, your version. Feel free to bend into the left knee. I know I will be. Pyramid's a grounding shape. Bring your awareness to those points of contact with the mat. Bringing your head below your heart. Maybe giving the chin a gentle little nod or shake. Next place we're heading is three-legged dog. Maybe walk the hands forward and bend the left knee to prepare. And then kick the left leg back behind you. Kick it out, shake it out. Forearms to the mat for three-legged dolphin. Pressing the forearms down, lift and lower through the right heel, or maybe you find a forearm stand. A little bit of time to play around here. If I try forearm stand, I will almost definitely do a accidental somersault that I don't want to do right now. So make the posture what it needs to be for you today. From forearm stand, or three-legged dolphin. We're gonna find forearm plank, left foot to the back, right foot to the back. Press the mat away with your elbows and your forearms. Left knee, left elbow, or maybe left upper arm. And then swap it out, right elbow. Once more, left and right. Whew. And then we're gonna take it to high push-up. Big breath in. Lower to chaturanga or to your mat. Up dog or cool breath. Pause, finishing that in-breath. Drop the knees, child's pose this time just for an exhale. Pull forward, keep the left knee bent as you lift the left leg, tilt the chin up, big breath in. Then bring your left knee to your left elbow, right toes tuck under, lift the right knee up. Kick the left leg back, breathe in. Both feet step to the top of the mat. Halfway lift, rebound some energy, and then fold forward. All the way up on the inhale. Catch the left wrist, side bend to the right. Come right back to the center, breathe in, and bring your arms into a Y. And then swap it out. Catch the right wrist, side bend to the left. Back to the center, arms might come into that Y on the inhale. But if I lightning chair this time, so sweep the arms by the side, by your side. Hugging the pinky fingers and the shoulders toward one another. So same kind of idea, root down into your right foot, left knee and arms come up. Take a breath in. Fly it back to airplane as you breathe out. Stay here or find warrior 3 on an inhale. Hands to the heart as you exhale, step your left foot 3 to 4 feet back. Reach the arms up, legs are straight, breathe in. And then circle the arms around to the side, catching opposite elbows. Inhale, lift the chin. Exhale, fold forward, releasing all the way into pyramid. Bring your hands down to the mat in front of you, bend the left, or right knee rather, kick back to three-legged dog on an inhale. Elbows lower as you exhale. Lift and lower the left heel for 5, 4, we're going to forearm plank in 3, 2, 1, forearm plank. Right knee, right elbow. Left knee, left elbow. Pursed lips, exhales, a little help there. Right to the right. Left to the left. High push up, take a breath in. Lower to chaturanga or to the mat. Cobra or up dog, press into the tops of the feet. Child's pose, just for the exhale. We're on the right side. Pull forward, lift the right leg, keep the knee bent, breathe in, tuck the left toes under. Right knee, right elbow, lift the left knee up. Take back to three-legged dog, take a breath in. This time, step the right foot between the thumbs. Find Dragonfly Twist, lifting that right arm up and open. From Dragonfly Twist, backstroke that right arm, lower the left knee. Bring the arms and the chest up, W shape with the arms, pull the heart space through. Hanumanasana, straighten out the right leg. Finding your version of a hamstring stretch. I like to kind of remind like the intention of the posture is to find energy in the back of the right leg, lengthening sensation. If you have full splits, by all means, you can start to work toward that. You can also sink your hips back toward the left heel. And maybe you have a bend in the right knee. That's fine too, that's great. So if we are coming back to that intention of taking care of ourselves, and maybe even figuring out what it is that we need to accomplish exactly that. It's a really safe and beautiful place to play around with trusting your body. So if it's giving you sensations, if it's trying to communicate that something that you're doing is maybe a little bit more than it wants today, try your best to listen to that, to explore if you might be able to get more benefit with a little bit less effort. Certainly, seeing if you can get more benefit without forcing anything. We have 2 more long breaths. You bend your right knee. Back stroke the right arm, keep the left knee down. Maybe bend the left knee, finding that left foot for your quad stretch. Into that right hand with your left foot to find a back bend perhaps as well, and a little heart opener. Sweet here, one more inhale. Release the back foot, find prasarita. So point the toes toward the long left side of your yoga mat. Maybe in a little bit of a sway here. You might even catch opposite elbows, that feels good. Another opportunity to give your head a little shake. I sound like a broken record, but this is where I hold a lot of tension. So it's part of my practice for sure to mobilize around those upper vertebrae. Bring your right fingertips down underneath your chest. Find a twist toward the back of your mat. Working to gently stack the shoulders and the wrists here. Lengthening the spine. Send the weight toward the heels. Breathe in. Sweep the hands to the top of the mat. Pivot the toes forward. Find standing splits. So kind of just as a transition here. Lifting that left leg up in space. Long inhale. Feet together at the top of the mat, or feet hips distance rather. Let's go with that. Bring your hands underneath your feet. We're going to find gorilla pose here. Toes press into the wrists. Knees are bent super duper deeply, so your chest is on your thighs, or perhaps you separate your feet wider and bring your belly between your thighs. Keep the knees bent for a moment. Straighten out the arms as you lift your heart. Lift the crown of the head forward. Breathe in. Forward fold, open mouth, exhale. Do that again. Find that halfway lift variation, keeping the bind. Long inhale. Forward fold, open mouth, exhale. Release the bind. Heel toe the feet back to whatever spacing feels good. And then roll it up nice and slow. So we've just got one more side to go here. Arms up on an in-breath. Let's bend to the left first. Bend either side. Let's just take a side bend. Come back to the center, breathe in. And then swap it out. I feel like I always do one side first. Come back to the center. I think I did again. Inhale. Lightning chair as you exhale. This time the left foot roots down into the mat. Right knee and arms come out. Find your balance and exhale it back into earth. Stay here or find warrior 3. Breathe in. Wherever you are, bring your hands to your heart. Slowly drop the right foot back. Reach the arms up on the inhale. Circle the arms beside you and then catch opposite elbows as you exhale. Pause, take a breath in, hinge forward, and then release that bind, pyramid pose. Walk the hands forward, kick the left leg back, 3-legged dog on an inhale, maybe at the same time, so you can lower the elbows at the same time. 3-legged dolphin, lift and lower the right heel or forearm stand for 4. We're finding forearm plank in 3, 2, forearm plank, drop the ball of the left foot, step the right foot back, left knee, left elbow, right knee, right elbow. So purse lips, exhale. Go side to side again. That purse lips exhale is going to recruit some of those accessory breathing muscles. Come back to high push-up, which means more abdominal strength. Take a breath in. Lower half or all the way down. Cobra or up dog, pause, finish the breath. Child's pose just for your exhale. Pull forward, lift the left leg with the knee bent, tuck the right toes, breathe in. Left knee, left elbow, lift the right knee as you breathe out. Hit the left leg high, breath in. Step the left foot forward, dragonfly twist. You can use your breath to create a little bit more space in the chest. Maybe breathing down toward your tailbone, sending the energy and the awareness down as far into the spine as you can. Long inhale here. Backstroke that left arm, lower the left knee. Bend the elbows as you pull the chest up, pull it through, breathe in. Ardha Manasana on this side, your variation of splits. So this is our longer hold. Not really a hip opener at all, so much as a hamstring stretch. You can kind of finesse the posture while you're here. I like to kind of Goldilocks it out, like, oh, it's a little too much, or that's not good enough. Start to kind of hone in on what you need today. What your physical body needs, what your mind needs. Practice absolutely has a huge potential to be a spiritual practice as well. So maybe what your soul needs here. Find that often what's needed is just a little bit more kind of kind attention, loving awareness, or presence. Give yourself a couple more breaths. Ready, rebend the front knee, keep the back knee down as you backstroke the left arm. Maybe you catch the right foot, finding your quad stretch over here. Relaxing through the neck and the jaw. Drop the back foot. We're going to find Prasarita. Take the toes toward the long right side of your yoga mat. A little sway, perhaps. Or maybe it's one of those days where it feels really like stabilizing to find stillness and to come into that really secure and steady stance for a moment. When you're ready, find your twist to the back, tempting the left fingers under your chest, shifting a little more weight toward the heels. Imagine someone's pulling the hip creases back at the same time as you're trying to reach the crown of the head forward. Long inhale, sweep the hands to the top. Standing split is our transition here. Lifting high through the right foot and leg. We're gonna take it to your butt. So when you step your right foot down, bend the knees, keep them bent, and then sit down onto your butt. Straighten the legs out in front of you for a moment. Walk the hands back behind you. Kind of paddle out through the thighs. You may cycle out through the feet. And then option forward fold options, I should say. You can take a wide-legged straddle, maybe turning toward the side. You can take butterfly with the soles of the feet together. Some folks feel good taking a straight leg forward fold. I've found over time that doesn't feel great to me, and so my way of taking that forward fold is to slide the forearms underneath the knees to create a little shelf. And that prevents my legs from going into the stretch that's a little bit more than my hamstrings appreciate. Figure out what variation is going to make sense to you. Just allowing yourself this time to shift your focus back inward. Breathe in a way that connects you to the sensations of the stretch. I won't do a super long hold today, but maybe 5 to 10 cycles of breath. Every inhale, sending a little bit more awareness to pockets in your body that feel tense or tight or warm. As you exhale, letting some of that tension start to drain through the body and out. Give yourself one more long breath. you're ready, you can use your hands to throw away to the chest. If your knees aren't bent, go ahead and bend the knees. Step the feet down, bring your arms forward, round your back. So shoulders shrug up into the ears, and you kind of move the shoulders around a little bit there. Hug the navel in toward the spine. I'm going to scoot forward a little bit. We're going to roll it out vertebra by vertebra using your core. Vertebra by vertebra. Tuck the tailbone when you get about to this point. So you're bringing your pelvis into that tilt. Once your shoulders touch, reach the arms back up overhead. Big breath in. Bridge pose, just one of them. Bring your hands towards your hips. Walk your feet to whatever spacing is going to give you a good foundation. And then lift the hips up. This can be a real gentle bridge, kind of a counter pose for the forward fold, bringing the hips into extension. Or it might be a pretty intense back bend. And in fact, if you want, you can absolutely take it into wheel. Wherever you take the pose, can you relax your face? Work with your leg strength, or if you're in wheel, your legs and your arms. Feel into that lift. Take a breath in. And slowly lower down. Arms to a T or a cactus as you windshield wiper the knees really slow. Go slower than you think you need to. To let the breath kind of do its thing. It can help us regulate our nervous system. So physical practice like this is inherently stressful to the body. That's okay. It's stress that we choose, but it's really important as you wind down your practice to give your body the message that it's okay to let go, it's okay to relax, right? That we don't need to have extra tension or tightness for the rest of the day after this practice. Real slow with these windshield wipers. You can take your chin the opposite direction of the knees if it feels good to breathe that rotation into the neck. And then the next time your knees are over to the right, pause there. You can stay there with the knees just the way they are. They're perfect the way they are if that feels okay in your body. Or make any adjustments that you might like, including bringing that left knee up a little bit and then catching the crook of the left knee with the right hand. Take a nice long breath. Come back to the center. You might even pause in neutral for a breath, and when you're ready, won't do it, but go ahead and swap it out for the other side when you're ready. We move toward final rest. Just an optional bit of self-inquiry here. So a question that's supporting me these days is, what is a very small way that I can take care of myself today? Very small, like very low bar way that I can take care of myself today. Maybe commit to having an extra glass of water. Maybe reach out to a friend. Start to work your way towards Shavasana, extending one leg at a time. Maybe you get outside just for a breath of fresh air. Maybe you take your lunch outside. Maybe you go to bed 10 minutes early. Right? What would feel nurturing and supportive for you? Shavasana. Let the muscles melt, let the scalp and the back of the head and the weight of the head release down. The muscles around the shoulders melt, and then gently scanning downward through the body, allowing any lingering tension to start to soften and unclench, bit by bit dissipate. Listen for for my voice in just about 30 seconds to close together, or if you're watching the video, you can stop the video and stay a little longer. That serves you. Deeper breaths and give your body any little movements that feel intuitive or natural here. No rush to transition from your back to the seat. When you land, meeting me with your hands and your heart, either in Anjali Mudra that we did earlier, or bringing the palms right around the heart space, creating once more that seal of energy. Acknowledge yourself for showing up, for taking care of yourself. Big cleansing breath here together. In through the nose. Sip in a bit more breath. Let it go. Thank you for sharing some of your time and your energy. Take care of yourself.